Today, we're going to talk about different types of percentages: discounts, markups, interest rates, commissions, profits, and taxes and such. So, we're going to start with just some story problems, but I'm going to ask that you really think about them in a different way. Emily wants to buy a coat for $150 but found it on sale for 40% off. What is the sale price? There's a couple ways of doing this. You could take the price, 150, times 40% so we can figure out how much money she saved. What do we do whenever we work with percentages in math? We don't leave them as a percent, we change them to a decimal. 40% as a decimal is 0.40 or 0.4. We will multiply those together using your calculator. We would get 60. So if Emily were to buy the jacket, it would be $60 saved. But that wasn't the question. The question was, how much was the jacket? You would have to go back to the original price, subtract the amount she would save, and we would get $90 for the sale price. Now, that is a two-step process. I'm wondering if we can try to think outside the box. How could we do this with just one simple step? Well, let's think about it. Another way we could do it is we know that the original price is $150. The store is not asking her to pay 100% of it. They're only asking her to pay 60% because they're discounting it 40%. So if I take 150 times the percent they're asking me to pay, they're giving me 40% off, meaning the customer doesn't pay that, or Emily. If I am then responsible, this is how much I need to pay. If I take 150 times 0.60 for 60%, I immediately get the sale price. That is what I have to pay. All right, let's try this with the next one. Jordan wants to buy a video game for $49.99 and found it on Amazon for 15% off. So we could take the price of the video game, figure out how much money he's going to save, change the percent to a decimal. Now, when I looked on my calculator earlier, I got this gigantic decimal. We're talking about money. We need our answers to look like money. Money has two decimal places, so I need to round by looking at the third decimal. He would save $7.50. But that's not what the question asked. The question asked, what is the price? So we'll go back to the $49.99, subtract the amount that he saved. Jordan would end up paying $42.49. Again, now let's think about this in a different way. He is going to buy the video game, the whole game, 100% of it for $49.99. That's 100% of the product. Amazon is saying, hey, we'll give you 15% off, meaning we would like you to pay 85% of it. That is what Jordan will have to pay. So to figure out how much he has to pay, I would take 85% of the $49.99. And what do you know? When we use our calculators, we still get $42.49. I would like you to pause the video and try the next one on your own. How much will Jason end up paying for his scooter? Pause the video, please. Thank you for pausing. I just decided I was going to think about it a minute. If they did not have to pay 25%, that meant they would have to pay 75%. So 75% of the asking price, they would pay $82.50. Again, I added the zero there because we need it to look like money. Now we're going to talk about markup or profit. That is totally acceptable. People have to get paid. They have to pay their employees. They have to pay rent on the building and taxes, etc. So the wholesale price is $15 for a ring, and Walmart will mark it up by 30%. Okay, so let's think about this. There's again a couple ways we can do this. Well, if Walmart pays $15 and they're going to mark it up 30%, we have to take 15 times 30% or 0.3, and it would be $4.50 in their markup. And that's okay, that's allowed. But that isn't the answer. The answer is, what is the retail price for the customer? So $15 is what Walmart paid, plus the markup of $4.50. The retail price would be $19.50 for the customer. And when I say sale price here, I'm not meaning discount. I meant this is what they're selling it for. Again, I'm going to challenge us to think about doing it in a different way. All right, so we know that the customer needs to pay 100% of the cost of the item. The cost of this item was $15. So the customer needs to pay $15 for sure. The customer then, we're going to add to that the 30% markup. So the customer is going to pay $15 plus the markup to get the total price or the total cost to the customer. If I add those together, I get 130%. The customer is going to pay 130%. That makes sense. Remember, the customer has to pay for at least the ring. Same thing Walmart did. Walmart needs to make a profit, so they're going to add 30% to that. The customer then ends up paying 130%. So I'm curious, if we take the original price of $15 times 130%, well, think to yourself a minute, what does 130% look like as a decimal? I would move it 2 places to the left. So I would multiply 15 times 1.30 or 0.3. And when you do that on your calculator, oh wow, it gives me immediately the total sale price. 100% plus the 30% markup for a total of 130%. Okay, let's try another one. The wholesale price of a skateboard is $75. That means that's how much Meijer paid. They will mark it up 45%. What is the retail price for the customer? Okay, so $75 times 0.45, so we can figure out the markup. When I did that earlier, I multiplied that on my calculator and I got $33.75. That is the markup, but that wasn't the question. The question was, what was the total new price? So $75 to pay for the skateboard plus the $33.75. The sticker price would be $108.75. Now, how could I do this all in one step? Let's think about it again. We have to pay 100% for the skateboard plus the 45% markup, meaning as a customer, we are paying 145%. If I take the $75 skateboard times the 145%, oh, it gives me right away the price for the customer. You may solve these in either way. It does not matter to me. If you like to have 2 steps, that's quite okay. If you want to think about it as the total thing together, we buy the product plus the markup, we get the total price. That works for me also. Now, interest rates and credit cards or house loans are the same sort of thing. Mike charged $1,250 on his Visa with an interest rate of 18.5%. The question is, what is his total cost? I don't care what his interest is. What is the total cost? There's two ways of doing it again, just like we were doing here. You could find out the interest, you could add it back. I'm going to work with the one-step method. We know he has to pay 100% of his charges plus the interest rate of 18.5. Sorry about that. Hold on a second. Plus the interest rate of 18.5. So when Mike is done paying for everything, he would have paid 118.5%. Great. That was his total percent paid. I will take 1250 times, remember you move the decimal 2 times, 1.185. This then would leave me with a total payment from Mike of $1,481.25. This is how much he spent. Add the interest, that would be his total cost. Okay, time for me to buy a crib. Calculate for me how much I paid after paying sales tax. I'm going to ask you to pause the video. Please do that. We'll compare answers. Thank you for pausing. Again, I decided to do the one-step method. I have to pay for the whole crib plus 6% sales tax for a total of 106%. I multiplied that, and I would have walked out of the store having to pay $196.10. Remember, we need it to look like money, so you have to add that extra decimal at the end. All right, flip over your paper. Now we're going to talk about percent of change. We need to ask ourselves, is there going to be an increase? Like, did someone make a profit? Are they marking something up? Is there a sales tax? Or will there be a decrease? Is something on sale? I will know if it's an increase or a decrease by if you get a positive answer or a negative answer. If you'd like to write the word increase or decrease, that's fine. If you give me a negative percent, I will know it's a decrease. When we look at this, it's very important that you see when we're solving these equations, you're going to take the new price minus the original or the old price divided by the original. Now, if we're going to use our calculators to make sure our calculator does not lie to us like it does once in a while, you will then do new minus old, hit your equal sign before you divide, or you will get the wrong answer every time. So it is, when I look at this a minute, let's just think about this. If it was originally $78, now the new price is $198. That looks like to me they marked it up. It's a markup. So that is a percent increase. So my answer better be positive because the price got larger. They increased it. So new minus original, hit the equal sign on your calculator, divided by original. This really just becomes a calculator game. So 198 subtract 78, I get 120. I hit equal, divide by 78. We want our answers to the nearest whole percent. My calculator gave me something along the lines of this. That is a decimal. You either mentally take it times 100, or you may use your calculator, but when you take it times 100, it would move the decimal 2 times to the right. Therefore, I would get 153.8 Asking for the nearest whole percent, 154% markup or increase. That's okay. I like it. Let's try the one right next to it. New. Oh, let's look at this. We started at $20, ended at $4. Was that an increase or a decrease? That was a decrease. So someone's having a sale, meaning I better get a negative number. So new minus original divided by original. 4 minus 20 is negative 16. Hit the equal sign your calculator first. Divide by 20. Negative 0.8. Again, that is a decimal. That is not a percent. So you will either take it times 100 or you move your decimal point 2 to the right. And I got negative 80%. So it was a decrease of 80%. 80% off, sale price, anything, any way you want to look at that. There is one left here. Again, you got it. You're going to pause the video. We'll compare answers. Thank you for pausing. I took a moment to ask myself, was it an increase or a decrease? I saw we went from $52 to $35, so that is a decrease in sale price. So new minus original divided by original, I got negative 17. When I was done, it was 33% decrease. Okay, for the next ones, there's quite a few different ways we can solve this. This would be like how we calculate our percent on our homework. I got 55 points out of 95 on my science test. Yeek! What score did I get? We could write a proportion based upon what we were doing yesterday. We got 55 out of 95. The question is, what percent is that out of 100? You could do your cross products. So I would have 95x equals 5,500. Divide by 95, divide by 95, and I would get 0.58 or 58. Sorry about that, no decimal there. I would get 58%. Or, like we do it on our homework, I would just take 55 divided by 95, and that is where I got my decimal point 58. Turning it back into a percent, I would have scored a 58%. That is nothing to brag about. Okay, same idea. 7th grade has 125 boys out of 320 total students. What percent are boys? So 125 out of 320 total is what percent out of 100? You could do your cross products, you would get your solution. If you wanted, you could take these two, divide, get a decimal, multiply by 100, and 39% of the 7th grade are boys. We need to be careful with the next one. When surveyed, 85% stated they were not Lions fans out of 423 people. How many people are Lions fans? There's multiple ways to solve this one. I'm going to think about it a minute. There is 85 people that are not fans. What percent are fans then? If 85 are not, what percent are? That would leave me with 15% are fans. Crazy, but true maybe. That would include 100% of the population. When you add those two numbers together, you get 100. I am then going to say, well, the question asks how many are Lions fans? So I'm going to use the 15%. 423 times the 15% of the population that are fans. I got 63.45. We are talking about people. Same thing like with the dry cleaners and the shirts. I would accept 63 people, or I would accept 64 people. I would not accept a part of a person. So I'll give that a heart. Emily sold a car for $25,500 and received 4.5% commission. What was her commission? Oh, they just want me to find out what is 4.5% of that. What I'm going to ask you to do again, read these problems carefully, try to solve them. We will compare answers. So you got it. Pause the video. Thanks for pausing. Okay, Emily's commission, this was a pretty straightforward one. Make sure that you ended up with the right percent. You didn't accidentally solve for 45%, although that would be amazing. She would have had a commission of $1,147.50. Rosie sold her home and then had to pay her realtor a commission. I decided to say, okay, this is how much money she gets. She has to pay the commission to the realtor, meaning when she's done, she gets 93% of the money that is left. So I took the sale price times 93% written as a decimal. That is how much money she would have had. If you wanted, you could have taken 450,000 times 7% and then subtracted, and we would have gotten to the same answer. When thinking about this one, I kind of had to say, all right, I know the total. I know I paid 20% in a tip, so I would subtract that away so I could figure out how much was the original food bill. 80% of the total was the food bill, so I took it times 80%, meaning we ate $39.88 worth of food. We left her a 20% tip.